My name's Art Grodan. I'm here from Colby-Sawyer College, small liberal arts college up in New London, New Hampshire. Small colleges, we need to do a lot with very little resources. The way I started looking at NexGen, we were looking at doing our VDI deployment, looking at deploying between 300 desktops our first year to 600 desktops our second year. And we knew that our spinning disk that we currently had wouldn't support that many IOs for all those desktops. So I started looking around for a solution, and I came across NexGen. And the real compelling thing, back then it was 100,000 IOPS out of a 2U box, and I said, well, that's pretty impressive. That's 4 years ago. And since then, they've gone up to, I don't know, 1 million IOPS or some ridiculous thing out of 2U. As I was saying, we had spinning disk. I took a look around. We were serving about 4,000 IOPS off of our spinning disk. And I said, that's definitely not going to be enough for all of our VDI. Found these guys. The real interesting thing about the NexGen is with the QoS that they deliver, you can go in and tell it, for this group of machines, I want to make sure that they have like a certain amount of IOPS. So let me grab a marker. So within the NexGen interface, it gives you some out-of-the-box QoS settings. You got mission critical, business critical, and non-critical. And you deploy your LUNs from those QoS settings to VMware, right? So wherever you place your machines within VMware on the LUNs that you serve, let's say this is your, 1, 2, 3, the NexGen's going to guarantee the performance. So the mission critical, I think you're guaranteeing 100,000 IOPS to these LUNs. And it will sacrifice the performance down here, non-critical data, if you need to serve more IOPS to your mission critical. The real nice thing about that was once we got all of our desktops deployed, we realized we weren't really touching the performance of this unit. We're only pulling about 6,000 IOPS off of this thing. I realized that I could start moving some other data into this. So I started moving my SQL. So I've got SQL sitting in business critical. And I've got Exchange sitting over here. And I've got Microsoft Link. I've got full Link deployment. Sorry?
What do you have in the mission critical?
Mission critical, I only have my View deployment right now. Because all my admin users are very, very picky. So I've got View over here. And then I run some file shares. I've got some of that spread out. And I've got some backup over here. Just anything, it's not going to affect business if it's a little bit slower. They lose a little bit of latency. But the View deployment is, like I said, very, very paramount. And we have actually migrated all of our data off of the old spinning arrays to NexGen, and it's sitting in 2U in my data center. And like I said, it was very important for us, because we're a small organization, to really get that much bang for the buck, because they don't give us a lot of money to play with. And I could have gone out and bought racks of any of these huge vendors. I couldn't afford it, and I wouldn't have been able to afford to do my VDI deployment.
What did you do? Did you buy just box like this and put in front of your storage?
No, this is the storage, right? So this is, I've got some numbers right now. 1.2 terabyte of flash with 32 terabyte of spinning disk.
So everything in that box?
And everything's in that box, that's correct. And that has 2 compute sleds that slide into the back that it mirrors everything side to side synchronously within the unit, and then uses the QoS scheduling to move things between your spinning disk and your flash array. So you don't have to go in and say, I want this data to always sit on flash and this data to always sit on spinning disk. It will intelligently move it depending on who's accessing the data and how many reads and writes there are on that data. Yes?
Is there a limit on how many you can put on the mission critical without affecting the business critical?
So the question is, how many LUNs or how many?
What is the limit?
What is the limit?
It warn you that you are exhausting the mission critical.
Right. So within the interface, it will tell you, not really. There's not really a limit. Okay. So you can go in and you can provision as much storage as you want out of here.
Can I ask you a question? How big is your college? How many people?
Okay. Just one second. So you're going to run out of space eventually. You can overcommit your storage, and you can fill your storage, and it will give you warnings, and it will let you know when you're getting close to your limits. But what it will do is it will make sure that anything in mission critical is getting the performance it needs, and then it will make decisions to based on your settings as to where it's going to keep that data. So the question is, how big are we? So we have about 500 faculty and staff, and then we've got about 1,500 on-premise students. Right now, we've fully deployed VDI to all of our staff units, admissions and HR and all those business units, and we're starting to deploy the VDI into the classroom, into the labs. We're using NVIDIA grid technology to deliver the high-performance graphics workstations, which is another way we've been able to save money, is not replacing all those high-performance workstations.
That box is good enough for you, right?
We have one of these guys, and ours is the 4-year-old version, so the newest version blows our box right out of the water. I have, since purchasing it, we did get what's called a capacity pack, which is another shelf that you can hang off the back of it to add more spinning disk. And they also sell what's called a performance pack, so you can actually add more Fusion I/O, PCIe flash cards to improve the IOPS that you can deliver out of the unit. You're at college as well. Okay.
Way bigger.
8 times bigger? Yeah. You might need a couple of them. But that's the nice thing about it is you can, you add your LUNs, and it's very easy to use interface. They've got a couple of workstations here set up that can show you how it works. And it's very easy to, for example, add more servers into the device. I know in some of the storage solutions, to add a new server in and to provision storage can be pretty difficult. It's very, very simple. And I like to say, I have to, when I come to these things, sit down and look at the interface again, because I look at it so rarely. I provision storage and I use it in VMware, and I start to forget what the interface looks like, which is a good thing. The other thing I can speak to is the support is phenomenal. It has phone home features, so if you have a spinning disk that starts to fail, I've gotten calls from NexGen saying, hey, you've got disk 5 is looking a little suspect, we're going to send you a new one. I said, oh, I didn't even realize that. Okay, great. So I've got for a new disk to come in, I've got a cold spare sits on the shelf, so I put in my cold spare, the new one comes in the next day, and I put that one on the shelf, send back the failed drive.
What's your role? Are you VM administrator or SAN administrator?
What's my role?
Or you do everything?
Yes, that's my role. I do everything.
Probably good,
I'm the storage administrator, the SAN administrator, the VMware administrator, the Exchange administrator, Link. I don't do SharePoint. Another guy does that. Pretty much if we run it, we've got 2 guys. So, and being able to deploy this kind of thing, the View deployment was really, really big. Like I said, we're up to around 350 desktops right now. We're on our way up to around 600, and this is what we're going to be putting it all on.